Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kyusho here, and now, before we do begin, let me go ahead and give a brief little review. In the last part, we had a number of events happening. Now, Deku, he and his team went out to the Legion territory, where they delivered a flag and told Caesar, quite simply, the terms of how they will negotiate with his faction. Now, it's been 3 weeks. He's done this for a few factions. He went out and had surprisingly good negotiations with the Khans. He made them well aware. They're not just going to side with each other, and his people are not going to immediately try and throw him to the wolves. Right now, they are not involved in their current conflicts. However, open trade is something he would like to establish. His leaders want to talk to him as equals. They are a tribe of the Mojave. His people are a tribe of the Mojave. They're trying to negotiate with the NCR, but those people are too busy twiddling their own thumbs and trying not to run around like a chicken who just got its own head cut off, especially after being crippled by Courier 6. The NCR, meanwhile, they are trying to maintain their hold on power within the region. However, that isn't exactly the easiest thing for them to do right now, since their main supply line, along with a good part of their own territory, has been destroyed and left irradiated. Now, they also touched base with Mr. House and went to go see the Brotherhood. However, Deku, he went to go see the Brotherhood alone by himself, and they were quite alarmed by his reaction to them. He came here hoping to give them an olive branch and a awareness of negotiations they would like to employ with his vault. They have found themselves finally getting stable within the region, and reaching out to the factions now is the best thing they can do. The people from the Brotherhood, however, were quite surprised at Deku's boldness, stupidity, or bravery, since he was able to convincingly plead ignorant to their claim of them sending a group to negotiate with them weeks ago. Now, as well as all of this, after they left Cottonwood Cove, there was Courier 6, who managed to somehow crawl his way out of the grave once more. And this Deku was quite alarmed by. The man, he should have been dead. Last time they saw him, he had a hole the size of his fist through his chest, and he should have bled out. However, the man was not only alive, he wanted to do negotiations and trade with the Vault Dwellers. Deku didn't think the man had any information they would want, but he gave them one piece of information for free. The Enclave is still around, and he's encountered one of their experiments in the Mojave. Bitter Springs had a monster around the area. He took it out, and he gave Deku a vial talking about how over in Jacobstown, a man has something similar to what he handed to Deku on his workbench, and he may be a member of the Enclave. And Deku, yeah, making a deal with Courier 6 is not something he does want to do. The man's crazy, insane, and from what he does understand of the stories of this guy, determined, dedicated. He is unpredictable and a dangerous enemy. But now 6 talks about him owing him a favor. He gave them the information about the Enclave for free and the location of this doctor. Deku took this back to his vault, and currently he is taking a team out on an expedition to track down this member of the Enclave. Now, With that being said, we do cut to Deku. Deku, he decided to take one little detour before they completely went over to Jacobstown. Right now, he does know he's being driven by his anger. And he did drive silently and quickly through the Mojave. The team was following him. They eventually got into Nipton, and then they went past it and started heading towards Prim. And there actually was John. John, he was trying to figure out what exactly was going through Deku's mind. He's not a very big fan of the Enclave, and Deku, he's quiet. There's something going through his mind. And there was where they drove up to Prim, and Deku, he did go to slow down and pull to a stop. Him turning and talking about it. Right now, there's something him and John need to go check out. All of them stay here. The NCR should be in the area. If they do need to, check it out. Last time he saw this place, it was abandoned. And the casino, it is a little banged up. That would be their fault. He's gonna go off the path for a second. They can take a break here, but someone needs to watch their vehicles. And all of them do get a look at each other. Deku turning to John as he does, gonna drive off to the left, kicking up some of the dirt and some of the sand as he does go to drive up a hill. And John does gonna follow. Right now, them driving all the way up to Tommy's former home. And John, he is quite confused looking at this place. And Deku, he does go to see the burned out building as he does go to look around. The place is still destroyed. The radiation, it seems to have gone away when he does get a bit closer. Some of the pools have dried out, though there are still some shallow ones that do remain. No sign of any ghouls. And that Deku, he does to keep on his mind. Right now, them going to sit there as they just stare at this building. And John does to ask him, "What is this place?" Deku leaning forwards on his ATV. "This is where Tommy died." "What?" "Yeah. Tommy, he died in Nipton. But this is where he was buried. Well, cremated, actually. More symbolic with words. It's a whole thing." "I don't understand. How did he die? How do you know this?" "John, I'm the one who killed Tommy. I remember vaguely you told me about that. I mean, I'm not that surprised by it. But how did it happen?" "This place used to be heavily irradiated. Nipton was a town that was trading with the Legion and the NCR. The Legion didn't like that, so they attacked it. Tommy found his way out here after a fight, after some sort of injury. We don't know how bad it was. His Pip-Boy was highly irradiated and some of the data was destroyed, corrupted. We found him out here a couple months after that. Afterwards, we found out that he was a cannibal. He was irrational, crazy, lost it finally. We tried to get him to leave, but he wouldn't listen to us. He attacked us and, well, we found out how he survived. Eventually, I put a bullet in his head and we burned down the building. How could you do that? John, I'm telling you this for a simple reason. Tommy couldn't handle it alone. He made some bad calls and ignored some signs. At some point, he lost his mind. I've gotten reports from Evelyn. She's talked about how you're worried about your own mental state, how you're not sure if you're in control. If you think like that, you're going to go mad. Up here, there are thoughts like, am I going to live to see tomorrow? Who's behind that door? What is that? Can I run far enough? Do I have enough ammunition? Can I make that shot count? Will I die of thirst? Where's the next town? There are people out here who are dangerous. We're them now. There are things, if you keep going down that rabbit hole, you will drive yourself insane. Tommy survived, but he lost his mind in the process. He made some bad calls. I'm telling you this so you don't make bad calls. Tommy ignored some warnings. I've made bad calls, John. I killed Tommy, and I didn't understand him at the time. Though, this place almost drove us mad. Especially New Mexico. I heard about that. Why were you in New Mexico? We were trying to find something to help us. Another Brotherhood chapter, maybe another vault. We ran into some problems. There's a place known as the Sierra Madre. It's a pre-war hotel. It's covered in this fog, and it's hell on earth, John. I can tell you right now, don't abuse your powers. Use it sparingly. We relied too heavily on them and we got burned. That place taught us how to survive. What lengths you'll go to. How far you're willing to push yourself. And just how lucky you are. It's worse than anything we've ever had to deal with in the vault. What do you mean? Tommy was a cannibal. He ate feral ghouls. We've had to do our own things to survive, and we don't talk about them. You're a cannibal? No, not anymore. I needed calories. We all did, otherwise we would have died. And if we didn't do that, then you wouldn't be here. Now, if you got any grievances, air them to me now. Any concerns, let me know now. Because after we're done talking about this, I don't want you repeating what I said here to anyone. You understand me? You really have changed. I know. This place will do that to you. I'm sure it will. If you let it, the Mojave will chew you up and spit you right back out. Try and keep your morals. But know when to abandon some of them. I heard about you and Chloe. You really want to have that conversation right now? After this? I'm surprised, honestly. Though, I'm not sure what to expect. To what you've told me, this place is brutal. Though, I think me and Evelyn might be getting along pretty well. You really want to date the chick who's getting free access to ruffle around in your mind? I don't know, cowboy. She told me some pretty interesting things. Fuck you. Yeah, I know. Listen, um, don't say anything, John. It's heavy. Right now, this was more to get your mind on straight. When we get to Jacobstown, we don't know what to expect. Right now, I don't want you to freak out on me. I don't want them try and go AWOL. I need everyone to fall in line. If you can keep your head on straight after the shit you've been through, I'm sure it'll help. It's about how people will mentally perceive you. Right now, I'm in charge, so I have to stay cool-headed. They can bitch and moan about it, but at the end of the day, I don't know how they're going to react. They're too emotionally invested because they've never got to kill the Enclave fuckers who did that to them. Who did so much to them. They were taken away from their families, pulled away. Some of them don't even get recognized by what family they have left. You still have your parents, your brother. I still have my family. I don't know what the Enclave did to you. You were put through some shit. I was put through some shit in the wasteland. If you need a vent, come talk to me. We can pour a stiff drink. Or just go a few rounds. I know you probably want to punch me in the face. And I do owe you one. That's, actually a little helpful. Thanks. Good. Deku going to put the ATV in reverse, talking about how they've got to get back now. Just make sure to try and keep us cool. That should help with their situation. And they do to head back down to Prim to find the group of idiots trying to ransack the town for whatever they can. And there currently is where they do to head over to Jacobstown. They were quite surprised seeing a mountain in the distance that has snow. And there was where they were driving uphill towards the town. It is past noon. They knew it would be quite a bit of a trek to get here. But if they had to go on foot, going uphill for this long definitely would have taken a lot more time. And there was where they eventually made their way into the mountains, as they do to feel some of the chill from the area. And when they do to see it more up close, Jacobstown, the mountains, the lodge, the ground, it does have some snow all around it. Though, there also is the surprising amount that is beginning to scatter its way outside of the town and cover some of the area outside. John was quite surprised to see Marcus standing outside, a large green super mutant. And Marcus, he was quite alarmed when he saw vehicles moving towards them on an approach, as there was where they parked the vehicles outside, and Marcus went from staring at them to having his eyes dead locked on John. John is about 7 feet tall. Along with that, he does look to be green. He's muscular, but his limbs are unproportionate to his body. And that does kind of surprise him. This is a very small super mutant. His eyes going to blink as he does a look at everybody else. He does see a strange looking woman staring at another one, and then going to look over at the others. And there is where his eyes do to lock directly on Deku's horns, and he does it to catch a whiff of the air. Does he realize what these people may be? They're mutants. Not super mutants. Some sort of mutant. And Marcus, he does go express. Hold on now. Who are they? We're people from Vault 16. Listen, we have suspicion and reason to believe you have someone here we need to talk to. May we come in? I believe you could. But why is that? Any hostile action? We would prefer things not to turn hostile if we can. But if things do go that way, unfortunately, we may need to. I don't like that answer. I know. Listen, we just wish to ask some questions of the doctor that lives here. The human doctor? Is there more than one? No. There's just Dr. Henry. He's here, along with his assistant. Is he the man you're looking for? Maybe. We just want to ask him a few questions. See how he does react, and if we can, if we must, bring him in for questioning. If he's not who we think he is, we are happy to return him to you, along with making a deal with you, compensating you for the inconvenience. I see. And if I refuse, I would rather you not. This matter is of high importance. A couple years ago, we were all normal humans. Some of these people decades ago. Right now, we believe he may be connected to what turned us into mutants. The FEV serum. You know of it? Yes. I was part of the Master's army. But that was a long time ago. I know what FEV is. You think this man here is experimenting with it? Using it? We believe so. Like I said, we just wish to ask him questions. Learn if he's who we think he is. Find out if he has any associates or potentially allies who he is still in contact with. If he is in contact with them, we wish to track him down. If this is all a big misunderstanding, we're willing to negotiate compensation. Something you may need. Water purifiers. Crops. We see that you have bighorners. We do. Good. We're open to negotiations, if you are willing to let us ask these questions. Marcus going to stand there, going to let out a sigh and go to bring his hand up to his head, talking about it. They can proceed, but just leave the Nightkin alone. If they begin to give them some trouble, call for him. He's sure that they can sort something out. Though if they do get violent with the doctor, don't be surprised if mutants do try to stop them. The man shouldn't help cure Nightkin's schizophrenia. He's a neuroscientist. And Deku, he does a turn looking at John, talking about it. Funny enough, they have some of those in their vaults. If this is all just a big misunderstanding, they may be able to help. Are you sure about that? I make no promises, but as I said before, if it's all just a big misunderstanding, maybe we can work something out. I do appreciate that. Please try and keep it peaceful. That is going to be probably harder to promise. Marcus going to have his face somewhat fall again, and Deku does a turn to all of them. Best behaviors, everyone. They may not be all cleaned up and polished in suits and dresses and shit, but they may be meeting a member of the Enclave. So, right now, he's going to need something from all of them. Michael, roof. Got it. Him climbing off his ATV, going to throw off his duster, and go to grow wings from his arms. Him beginning to get larger as feathers do begin to pull out of his skin. and he does a flap him into the air as he does go airborne. And Marcus does just stare up, bewildered by what he just saw. He just saw a man turn into a giant fucking mutant bird. And this, it does still alarm him. Right now, him watching as Michael does go to fly higher and higher overhead. And right now, Deku does talk about it. On him, all of them getting off of their vehicles as he does a turn, asking Marcus to keep an eye on them. And he does go to nod, as there is what they do to make their way up to the front of the lodge. Deku hearing snow under his boots as he does to tell them. He'll go in first to see this doctor. If they hear any sounds, come running. But keep your weapons holstered. All of them going to look around at each other. And Deku, he does a turn and suck in a breath. Right now, him keeping his eyes closed and letting the coolness of the area flood over him. It's snowing. It's cold. He's about to walk through the store and probably have to kill everyone inside. That's the worst outcome his mind has come to. The best outcome? Courier 6 lied to him. This is all just some big misunderstanding, and that man just has a vial on his desk that looks similar. But in his time in the wasteland, he's never seen a vial like what the Enclave has made. Those chances are low. Not impossible. But he'll have to play this straight. Him going to open his eyes and step forwards, making his way through the door as he does a look around, hearing some commotion from the room to his right. And he does a look around the large wooden lodge. One of the Nightkin, they do try to approach Deku. Right now, him looking in their direction as he does smell the air, them freezing and turning their head in a bit of confusion. And he does go to turn back, following the voice he can tell is human. Right now, him stepping into a large room as he does go look around. And right now, there is a doctor who's leaning over a microscope and talking about a few things. His assistant typing them away on the computer. And she is a ghoul. Him staring at her, turning to look at Henry, Dr. Henry. And he does step into the room. I'd like to ask you a few questions. I'm very busy at the moment. You can go, leave, or come back later. I'm making some progress in my research. Really? And what exactly are you researching? I don't know. It may go over your head. Please just go. I'm very busy. Calamity going to type away on the computer and go to turn. Her glancing at Deku as her eyes are to freeze, staring at him. And she does bring a hand up, grabbing onto Henry's shoulder. Henry going to turn his head as he has a look over his shoulder and see a man wearing an eye patch. However, he does go to stare at the gaze he does still have. Right now, he does see a man in a duster, in some combat pants and boots. Along with that, he does go stare at the horns on top of his head. He's shaggy with a short beard and his hair is short. But his eyes, his gaze, his arms, his build, something about it doesn't look right. Who are you? I'm here to ask you some questions. First of all, who are you? I'm Dr. Henry. Listen, I'm quite busy trying to work on curing the Nightkin here. They can be quite agitated, so don't look at them, but I'm making some good progress on my research. If you can please just leave me alone for some time, I can probably answer some questions you may have later. This is very important. Deku stepping forwards. And the doctor, he doesn't fully turn and look at Deku. And when he does get closer and closer, he does go to get a better look at him. As he does get to ask, he's Enclave. Is he wrong? Enclave? Why do you wish to know that information? That's far behind me now. I've separated my ties from the organization long time ago, and if you're trying to get me involved in it again, I don't believe I can help much with you there. Deku reaching into his pocket and pulling out an empty vial, holding it up between his fingers. Someone told him he has something that looks exactly like this on his desk. He's assuming it is an FEV serum. Now, he was just here to ask some questions, but he's lying to him. If he keeps lying to him, things are going to get messy. Deku raising his right hand as Henry does go to watch Deku begin to mutate it. His fingers do begin to elongate and emit a sound Henry does not enjoy hearing. His skin does get to toughen up and he does get to watch as his nails do elongate. And Deku, he does get to hold up his right arm, talking about it. The Enclave did this to him, did this to his people. Now, answer his questions or things here are going to get very, very messy. Okay, this is unexpected. You're one of them, aren't you? Vault dwellers? Yes, I see. I didn't know that. Well, listen, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I don't really know anything. Some people came by and they had a serum and they knew who I was. They were intrigued to study the super beings here in the Nightkin. But I told them that was a bad idea. I wasn't exactly aligned with what they wanted anymore. They tried turning my research to weaponization once before, and I'm just trying to help people now. I severed my ties to that organization 4 decades ago. Just please, understand. I'm not who you're thinking I am. Some people came by, yes, but they gave me the serum after I said I wouldn't join them. The mutants protected me, and I've been using it to study them. Study things for what I could do to cure them. I mean, it's remarkable. So far, I'm not sure if I can do it. But with what I have, you understand if I don't exactly believe you. Now, I've already talked to Marcus and made things quite clear. You're coming with me. No, please. You don't understand. My research could help these people here. Your research can. Either you come with me willingly, and I'm able to make a deal with you to help your research, or you come kicking and screaming, and I turn you over to a woman who can crack your noggin open like an eggshell. She's already been able to get inside someone's head before, rip out information, find it. It's hard, especially with someone willing. I'm curious to know what happens when someone's not. How long will it be before you're just drooling and pissing yourself? Answer yourself that question. Because I'm going to answer it for myself. You won't last long like that if I drag you out of here. I understand. Listen, I'll comply. I'm not a member of the Enclave who may have affected you. May have? Deku going to step forwards and wrap this clawed hand around the man's throat. And the man, he is quite alarmed as Deku does turn to Calamity as she does stagger backwards and he does a bring a hand directly up to his mouth, giving her a steel gaze that does going to tell her if she makes the wrong move, she is going to die. And he does to pull the doctor in close and tell him, the Enclave have done things to him that would give that man nightmares. Right now he's lucky he didn't drag a telepath here so she can broadcast those things into his skull. If things go well for him, they'll help him. If things go bad for him, they will lock him up or break his mind. There are things out there that will make him want to crawl into the darkest hole in the wasteland and die. There are things out there that will give him nightmares. Anything inside of his mind may give him nightmares. He'll have to then wear that like his flesh wears his skeleton. It's easy. He walks with it. He knows it. He's seen it. He's been driven mad by it. But he's recovered. Right now, he's lucky. He took a second to cool people down outside. There's over 20 of them. All of them wanted to come here and rip this place to shreds. He's the only thing stopping those monsters from coming here and tearing him apart like he is some fucking Brahmin. Now, he's going to let him go. He's going to take out some handcuffs, and he's coming along with him now. Does he make that quite clear? Deku pulling back and letting go of the doctor. And the man does go to nod his head as Deku does hold up his hand. Give me your weapon. And you, ghoul, if you try and use that knife, you're going to find out that you're not going to like me after that. Her going to break up her knife and slowly put it onto the table. And Deku, he does pull out some cuffs. Henry going to willingly cuff himself after placing his weapon down on the table. And Deku does begin to lead the man out. However, whenever he does get a turn and go towards the door, there is where some of the Nightkin, they do get a rush over. Right now, them going to try and approach Deku as there is at the door where someone, they do come in. Right now, Deku turning as Aiden, he does go to step through the doorway and go to roar out. Right now, him catching their attention as Deku does get a whistle. And Aiden, he does a turn looking at him as the Nightkin do talk about it. Where are they taking the doctor? They need him. He's going to make more stealth boys for them. Right now, we're taking him with us. No, you won't. Yes, I will. Listen to me, mutant. Right now, we're taking him with us so we can help you. If you answer some questions for us, it's going to be easy. We'll bring him back. Liar. You're not going to bring him back. You wish to take him for yourself. Take the stealth boys for yourself. What if we bring you back, stealth boys? I'm listening. We'll bring you back a dozen stealth boys. A dozen is 12 if you didn't know, mutant. Now, this shouldn't take too long. We should be back later tonight. Or if we do need to, tomorrow morning. It won't be that long. If you listen to me, we might even bring you more. More than 12? More than 12. Though, if you really did want to fight us, Aiden going to change. And the mutants do to watch on as Aiden does a shift into a Deathclaw. And Dr. Henry does look on with morbid fascination but horror dawning on his face. And he does go to express, if they really wish to fight, they surely can. Though, maybe not indoors. And the mutant does go to burst out laughing, talking about it. They are mutants! They are mutants! And this does cause a chuckle to roar through the Nightkin, since they just saw a human turn into a Deathclaw. And Deku, he does burst out laughing too, talking about it. Just because of that, he'll make it 20 stealth boys, though they'll have to decide amongst themselves who gets them. And they do begin to agree. Right now, him pulling Henry by the chains on his handcuffs out the door. And the man's very confused about Deku's promise of, at the latest, the next day. Getting downhill will take a few hours. Though when he does go to stare at the others, he is quite confused. Though there is where Michael he does go land nearby, and he does begin to retract his feathers. The doctor turning his head and staring on again. As he does ask, "Is that what the Enclave did to them?" "Yes. And more. They wanted to turn us into weapons. Though we turned them into just a memory. You said men came to approach you with that serum, right?" I did. Good. We want to know where they are." "I can tell you that." "You could, but you could also be lying." "I've been trained to know when someone's lying. You've lied already before. But I'm smart enough to know that you might be using that to give me a false tale. A tell. You give me a small lie to cover a big one. I'm not stupid, I'm smart, and I'm well aware of how people work and function. Now, if things do all go well, we'll bring you right back home. We'll even help you, as I said before. But before we even do any of that, I need to know you're trustable. And you, being former Enclave, like what you're claiming, doesn't exactly inspire much confidence, especially after what I saw inside. You have more of that serum." I do. Fine, I'll come along with you, but how are we going to get back so soon? We have a vehicle. Him walking over to the ATVs. And he does go to put the man on the back of his, telling him to make sure to hold on to this bar right here. Right now, though, he's going to be riding backwards. Hold on to it quite tight and keep leaning back. If he does fall off, they'll have to patch him up. And he's fairly certain if they bring an old man in there limping, people are going to make some assumptions. Then again, they may not care. So don't fall, if he doesn't want to hurt himself. Besides, they're going to be going pretty fast. The man nodding his head. And where the vehicle does begin to move, he does a turn looking around to the others. Still just highly intrigued about all of this. Working vehicles. It's been 200 years. He's never seen one outside of a vertebrate. This is a working land vehicle. And that it does have him quite bewildered. And there is where they do go to return to the vault a few hours later. Right now, Deku, he does go to pull up to the gate to the airport. And when people do go to see him, he is waved through as he does come parking into a hangar with the vehicle. And when he does to pull this old man off, people, they do go to stare at him. Right now, him being led by Deku and the other mutants. And the man, he is still looking around. Every gaze is fixated on him. He did even go to turn and see something he never thought possible. He turned and saw two monsters fighting, but they stopped to look at him. Everybody who was watching them turned their heads to him. I mean, those are two giant monsters fighting. A giant goat and a fucking whatever the fuck that thing is. He just felt confused about all this. And that was where Deku pulled the man into an elevator, making sure that he knew what to do. And there is where Evelyn, she was quite enthusiastic about using her powers on this man. She already had a bunch of ideas for stuff she can do. Though, she was warned by Deku that he is going to try to comply. So, make sure not to break him too soon. Though she does see information showing he's guilty, she has authorization to scramble his brain. And she does it a nod in understanding. Right now, him going to sit down in an interrogation room with his hands cuffed to a table. And whenever Evelyn does get a step in, the man is to turn staring at her. Her going to sit down and telling him, telepathically. Right now, she is the person who will be conducting this interview. What the hell? You're in my mind. Yes, I am. The Enclave had an idea for what my abilities can do. I'm also using you as a preliminary test for a few things. Test? You're experimenting on me. Yes. Now, I'm going to inform you very simply. I'm going to try and look inside your mind. You are going to feel strained at first, and you'll want to push back on me. The mind doesn't like foreign invasion. If you keep pushing, however, you are going to hurt yourself. Think of it like a glass wall. The more pressure you push against me, the more you're going to break that film, that glass. And you'll cause yourself to have an aneurysm. I can get into your head without killing you, but it will hurt you. Quite a bit. Now relax your mind and let me see what's going on. The doctor going to sit there. He does want to spitfire questions. Tell her things. And right now Evelyn and the doctor do sit there in silence for a few minutes. The doctor, he had some sudden jolts and shakes. However, after pulling against his handcuffs a few times, he eventually did settle in. And Evelyn, she did sit there for about 10 to 20 potential minutes before her hand did start to move on the clipboard she was writing on. And Deku, he does stare at that. Right now, her going to open her eyes and stand, turning and beginning to telepathically inform Deku. This man is no longer Enclave. She does have some disturbing information, however. The people who were experimenting on members of their vault, they've been doing so for a time period of over 120 plus years. This man cut ties to the faction 40 years ago. And the Enclave he was a part of was destroyed on an oil rig off of the coast of California. He heard information about that. The regime of the Enclave they've destroyed is a separate one, possibly a branch. Though he does have associates from that version of the Enclave. Along with that, there are people from the version they are familiar with who are still running experiments. They gave him some of the FEV to see what would strike him with his curiosity. They wanted to see about repairing the damage to supermutants and using them as an army. However, he isn't sure if they will want to work for him. If they're too intelligent, then they'll want to make their own decisions. I see. That's disturbing. It is, quite. If I am to speak freely, you may. If the Enclave is more than just one faction, it is part of a larger branch. That is quite concerning. We found no information showing that they were connected to anyone else at the Mojave. But this section of it in California, they're gone. That's true. Anything else? He has a general location as to where they may be. But Bitter Springs was the location you said was affected, correct? I did. It's in the area nearby. Afterwards, that's all the information I've really gotten out of him. They're supposed to come by in a couple of days. I believe we can use this time to prepare. They'll come by and see if he does still want to join them. They've been quite curious to poke him for information. Though, now it's time for us to poke them back. I got it. Uncuff him. If he's no longer a threat to us and we may be able to trust him, we can help his research. He can talk to our neuroscientist. He's quite eager to do so. Good. Though, we'll need him to help us on this. I'm sure he will. He's morally better than them. He left because he didn't agree with their goal. Good. That means we at least don't need to kill him. Yes, Commander. Her nodding her head as Dr. Henry, he is quite happy about being released and not looked at as if he is some sort of thing to destroy. And right now, she does want to talk about it. She can take him right now to meet some scientists. Afterwards, they will have to figure out what to do whenever it does come down to this new plan to take out these men. And the doctor does get a nod quite eagerly. And Deku, he does go to send a report in to the overseers. And with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.